Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Quick shout out to my newest patron, Paul L. Thank you for choosing to support the channel. We know at Tesla's annual shareholder meeting, Elon asked the audience where the next Gigafactory should be, and a few people shouted out Canada, to which Elon quipped that he was indeed part Canadian. And now we get some filings in Ontario that are actually showing some lobbying activity that mean Tesla may be preparing for a Gigafactory in Canada. This new info is coming from these lobbyist registry documents that have been recently filed. But listen carefully, the objective has been to engage with the government and its agencies to identify opportunities for industrial and/or advanced manufacturing facility permitting reforms. So at least part of this lobbying is to get the permitting process presumably shortened, so if Tesla were to build a Gigafactory here, they could do it fast, with the intent to increase the competitiveness of Ontario and its ability to attract capital investment through establishing approval timeframes that are competitive with high-growth manufacturing locations in North America. Then Ontario's Minister of Economic Development said this in an email: "By reducing the cost of doing business by $7 billion annually, Ontario has attracted $16 billion in EV investments in the last 20 months. And if you've been watching Electrified for a while, you will probably know all of the other things that Tesla's been doing in Canada. Things like hiring a senior policy associate, purchasing High Bar Systems, which is now Tesla Toronto Automation, purchasing Spring Power, a battery cathode tech company, working with Jeff Dawn and his research team, opening its first branded factory in Ontario where it makes battery equipment, and securing a deal with Vale for Canadian nickel. Not only those initiatives, but Canada itself has a great setup for a full closed-loop battery manufacturing ecosystem, and of course for EVs. Mining operations, check. Refining facilities, check. Other battery cell makers making investments in the area, check. And one more very interesting thing. So Ontario recently secured a $1.5 billion battery material facility. This will be run by Umicore, and this happened in July, just days before Tesla updated its registry filing. Umicore just happens to already be a partner of Tesla. So look, is it possible that Tesla's next Gigafactory announcement later this year is in Canada? Absolutely, but I would say that these lobbying documents seem to be focused on shortening the permitting process. So maybe this lobbying is a multi-year effort and Tesla won't be ready to actually build a Gigafactory in Canada until those permitting requirements are a bit easier to navigate. So will there be a Gigafactory in Canada in the future? It seems highly likely, but will it be the next one? That's still the question. What do you think? Here we have some huge news, and it comes at a perfect time. So this weekend, I just got done with a special two-part video series. Part 1 will be uploaded this weekend, either Saturday or Sunday. So if you want to throw on notifications just for the next few weeks, as a reminder, stay tuned for that, as we will get into a lot more very important detail that relates to this bit of news. Tesla has signed contracts worth $5 billion with a B to buy materials for their batteries from nickel processing companies in Indonesia. Luhut Panjaitan said, "We are still in constant negotiation with Tesla, but they have started buying 2 excellent products from Indonesia." Tesla signed a 5-year contract with nickel processing companies, not just mining, but processing and refining, operating out of Morowali in the Sulawesi Island. Now, some people online were saying that maybe Tesla will mine the nickel ore needed and ship it and refine it in America. That seems highly unlikely, not because they're talking about they have this contract with processing companies in Indonesia, but also you have to remember when it comes to nickel ore, for simplicity, let's just say I go get a shovel full of this ore that has the nickel in it. Well, 90% of that dirt material is actually not going to be used. It's only about 10% that will result in the ultimate nickel. So you wouldn't want to pay to ship that much extra material all the way across from Indonesia to the United States. Is it impossible? No, but does it seem likely? Also no. And there's this. So Indonesia has stopped exports of nickel ore to ensure supply for investors, and the government in Indonesia plans to impose export tax on these metals to boost revenue while encouraging more domestic production of higher value products. The whole goal here for Indonesia has been to create infrastructure and business for the local economy. So they're not just going to let Tesla come in, take all the ore and, get out. Most likely, in my opinion, this will be nickel mining and refining in Indonesia. This is an image of the Indonesian Morowali Industrial Park that's been under construction since about 2013. The park's focus expanded to take advantage of the emergence of nickel as a critical mineral in the renewable energy transition. This is the largest nickel-based industrial area in Indonesia with 11 different smelters, this as of the end of last year. For whatever it's worth, the IMIP, or the industrial park, is valued at more than $7 billion US. And we just saw Tesla signed a contract worth around $5 billion, just to give you some rough context. Perhaps most importantly, the nickel mine and nickel smelters are already operational. A lot of these new deals are set to come online 2025, 2028, and later. This one will hopefully start supplying Tesla sooner. Basically, this industrial park is a massive hub for mining and refining, and it's not just nickel. However, it's saying there are at least 2 nearby nickel mines supplying this project. Either way though, this of course is a massive deal, and remember, part 1 of this video series this weekend will talk about this and the impact on Tesla and many other things, so stay tuned for that. You've most likely seen it by now, but the Inflation Reduction Act has been passed by the Senate. Kamala Harris was the tie-breaking vote, passed 51-50. Now it will go to the House, where it's expected to pass, and then it will end on Biden's desk. So unless something out of the ordinary happens, this is looking to become a law. I sadly have to point this out though, it's going overlooked. So $80 billion of this new Inflation Reduction Act will be going to the IRS to add more auditors to basically audit more everyday Americans to try to generate an additional $204 billion in tax revenue by, yes, presumably auditing more everyday Americans. Here's what we know. The final MSRP limits, it's $80,000 for vans, SUVs, and pickup trucks. It's assumed that the Model Y will be classified as an SUV. If that's the case, both variants right now from a base price perspective would indeed qualify just on this metric alone. It's $55,000 for any other vehicle, which of course would be the Model 3, so the rear wheel drive variant would currently qualify, but the long range would not. Could Tesla lower the price of the Model 3 long range to get under $55,000, operating around 30% gross margins? The answer is yes, they could if they want to. However, here is the big problem that no one at this point is going to know for sure with certainty. When it comes to the battery component sourcing, the Secretary will make the final rulings after each manufacturer tries to certify which vehicles will be eligible for this program. The way I read the bill is that from the gate starting in 2023, vehicles placed in service before 2024, so for all of next year, 40% of the battery critical mineral value must be extracted or processed in the United States or with free trade agreement countries, or be recycled in the United States. Further than that, the battery components must be made or assembled in North America, and the target is 50% for vehicles placed in service before January 1st, 2024. Once again, presumably for all of next year. What I can tell with decent certainty is that the size for plug-in hybrids is going to be 7 kilowatt hours for the battery pack. The term dealer has been generating a lot of confusion. The way I'm reading it, Tesla should be treated just like a normal dealer when it comes to actually implementing the tax credit at time of sale. And much is being made over the naming of this portion, so it was new qualified plug-in electric drive motor vehicles. This has been replaced with clean vehicle credit, presumably to allow for hydrogen. But at the end of the day, how many automakers are really focusing on hydrogen? The way I see it, it's not that many. Remember, Benchmark is saying China currently has 81% of the world's cathode manufacturing capacity, 91% of the world's anode capacity, and 79% of the world's lithium-ion battery capacity. This is my main point. Just because a vehicle looks like it's going to qualify under the MSRP limit, it doesn't mean that vehicle will actually be eligible because of all of these battery, mineral, and component requirements. So until the Secretary actually works with these auto manufacturers and goes through this certification process to deem which vehicles are going to be eligible, we probably won't know for sure. Hopefully we get that guidance by the end of this year. And yes, companies like Lucid and Rivian are not going to be eligible for this EV tax credit. Sawyer shared this on Twitter, just a reminder that once you add in your options, you may end up going over the MSRP cap. Now, it will most likely be this final bottom line number that determines if you're eligible for the credit or not. Some people are thinking that it's just going to be the base amount. Now, I don't know this for sure. This is just my expectation. Some folks from Princeton and Dartmouth actually put together this research report on the projected impact on this Inflation Reduction Act. They said the act would nearly double investment in wind power and solar photovoltaics to $321 billion in 2030 versus around $177 billion under the current policy. It could also spur record-setting U.S. wind and solar growth, with annual additions increasing from 15 gigawatts of wind and 10 gigawatts of utility-scale solar in 2020 to an average of 39 gigawatts per year of wind additions in 2025 to 2026, and up to 49 gigawatts per year of solar. So over the next 3 years, this would be a rough 5x from 2020 numbers in terms of utility scale solar deployments, and over a doubling on the wind side. I'll link the updated bill and that report below, but just remember, until we get actual guidance from the secretary after working with these auto manufacturers, because remember, now with this guidance, many OEMs are going to try to shift around their supply chains to try to qualify for these tax credits. Tesla may even end up reworking its supply chain a bit and its sourcing locations so that it can ultimately qualify for certain vehicles. The point is, right now, we cannot say for certain which vehicles will qualify strictly due to those sourcing requirements. There is some level of precedent established that could allow automakers to ask for waivers from some of these requirements, but once again, only time will tell. Most importantly, no matter what happens with these EV tax credits, Tesla is going to continue to dominate. You can give other automakers a ton of money and all of these different things. It doesn't mean consumers are going to want to buy inferior products. Flat out, Tesla has over a decade building these alien dreadnought manufacturing behemoths that no one else is even close to replicating, and they won't be anytime soon. Even if you gave them $100 billion, they wouldn't really know what to do with it. At this point, the only thing that Tesla needs to secure its future is going to be more deals like this. And as you can see, Tesla continues to be that Pac-Man, scooping up everything that it can. Real quick, over the weekend, some people were making a big fuss about this, the California DMV, accusing Tesla of using deceptive marketing practices when it comes to autopilot and FSD. This really isn't nothing new. We've known this has been an issue. There were 2 filings dated July 28th, and Tesla had 15 days to respond. Either way though, if the department prevails, it'll ask Tesla will be required to advertise to consumers and better educate Tesla drivers about the capabilities of autopilot and FSD. Thus, this action pertains to Tesla's marketing and advertising practices around autopilot and FSD only. Some people were thinking Tesla could lose its ability to sell vehicles in California. That probability seems very near to 0. I can't say anything just yet. All I'll say for now is don't forget about Hardware 4.0. Unrelated, Elon tweeted out AI Day Part 2, September 30th. If you haven't already, mark your calendars. I'm highly excited for this event, not necessarily because of the bot like being ready for production or generating revenue, but just the level of unknown around this event. Like, the expectations are all over the map, so I'm pretty excited. In classic Elon style, he went ahead and changed the next FSD beta release to actually be 10.69, which everybody loves, dropping on August 20th. More importantly, he said this release will be big. Now, if you followed Elon for some time, you know that he likes to hype up these releases, and they honestly don't always live up to the hype. However, that said, Elon has talked about some pretty big architectural changes for this one, and to give it this name, you know Elon's pretty confident. Tesla is now providing free ice cream at a supercharger location in France. Here we have the Tesla branded loot box. On that note, maybe I was a little harsh on the Tesla pool. As you can see, some people are using it, and yes, they're smiling, seemingly having a pretty good time. Earlier this year, Ford hired Josh Halliburton to help oversee its quality operations. It should be noted though, the 46-year-old exec comes from the auto research firm J.D. Power. That said, Jim Farley just got done saying, "We continue to be hampered by recalls and customer satisfaction actions." One of the problems Josh brought up was that Ford is trying to make too many last-minute design and engineering changes ahead of a new vehicle launch. He said, "If the goal was to launch on time, we were often focused on getting to launch versus prioritizing quality." You know how many of the analysts are still arguing that all of these other automakers are going to have 10, 20, 30, 50 different EV models and Tesla only has 4? There's no way they can compete or have significant market share. Rolling out a new model is fraught with difficulties for any car company, so the closer the launches are together in timing, the more complicated they become. I honestly think that is such a flawed argument by all of these analysts. I mean, think about it. Would it be easier to build 30 different really good cars or to build one excellent car? Seems pretty obvious to me that Tesla's way forward is the superior route. Lucid Air now offering a $6,000 black appearance package in 2023. Think of this as a chrome delete and a way for Lucid to try to make some money. I mean, I do like the look of it. Today, Ford will be co-hosting a summit to talk about the chip situation, meeting with other execs and CEOs in the industry to try to figure out how we can get this problem solved. Over 35 senior execs and leaders are joining Ford's discussions today to boost US manufacturing and R&D ability. This week, Biden should also be signing the CHIPS and Science Act into law. This to encourage domestic manufacturing of semiconductor chips as well as continued research into this field. That'll do it for today. Please like the video if you did. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.